With the changes that we're seeing in the market, there are a lot of questions, and also there's a lot of bad information that is being put out by some of my colleagues, by the media, by buyers and sellers. So I'm going to go over some of the numbers that you can apply to your own situation. That way you can make the best choice possible moving forward, whether that means going forward and buying or selling your home, or putting on the brakes, hitting pause, and waiting until things normalize, whenever that is. When it comes to indicators, leading indicators, lagging indicators, there's a lot of different measures in real estate that people pay attention to, from days on market, sold price, to list price, inventory, supply and demand across the board. But if we're just looking at average days on market it takes for a home to sell, well, I mean, it's old data, and by the time that happens, it's going to be different from where we are right now in the market. So I love this report that came out. Contract ratio between homes that are listed and homes that are under contract. So it's something we can see right now in real time data. So this is just for the greater Phoenix area. So in 2022, it started out with 159.5. Now that is crazy, it was a frenzy, and it quickly rose to 258.9, which was insane. If you bought a home then, you know exactly what it was like, or if you're trying to buy a home, again, you felt it. You felt it more than anyone. Now, during March, the contract ratio started to edge lower, going 249, it's still crazy high. But the key is there was a trend. It started going lower in March. Again, that's when we started to see rates trickling upward. By the end of July, the contract ratio had fallen to 44. Now, I know a lot of people were thinking right then, just because of the sharp change from July to what we had in March, that, oh my gosh, it is a buyer's market, the world is ending, what is going on? Now I can understand that, because we did have that rapid change from where we were. Now in August, it recovered slightly, but then fell again to 40.9 in September. So drastic again, and people were freaking out. I won't say freaking out, that's a little extreme, but there's a lot of concern, rightfully so. I mean, especially for the sellers out there who saw what was happening, didn't sell their home, and then wanted to put their home on the market thinking it was gonna be like it was 8 months prior. Well, that just wasn't the case. As we get into October, we saw another rapid decline, and we were at 34.3 as of October 8th, which, it's the cool end of normal. So we're still in that balanced normal range, but we're just a little chilly. Not quite a crash market that so many would love to happen because they've been predicting it forever. But we are starting to see, a pullback. I think everyone can agree that the market has, at the very modest of terms, shifted. And for context, mid 40s, around 40, what's called 40, that's considered a balanced market. So really, right now, what we're experiencing, it's a balanced market. Even with inventory, yes, we have gone, am I making words up now? We have risen so much in inventory from where we were. At one point, I think we had 2,500 single family homes for sale. And as I look on the screen right now, single family detached, 17,048 properties available. So that's a huge jump, but it is still below, our normal range. But when you add, higher interest rates, that does take an effect. It's probably one of the biggest effects that has caused this buyer pullback to happen. And honestly, I think it needed to happen. I don't know how high these rates were going, or these home prices were going to go, but I know for some clients and some potential buyers, it completely took them out of the market where they could not compete. One more interesting fact about this number, this contract ratio number, is the price range that's exhibiting unusually low contract ratio is the $400,000 to $500,000 range, where they've slipped from 35.8 to 30.6 over the past 2 weeks. So this looks like the range is going to be the most vulnerable to becoming a colder market. And it's also, right there in the sweet spot, right in the average, home buyer, home seller range in this market. So if you're looking to get into the market, first time home buyer, or maybe that is just the price range you tried before and weren't able to, then it may be something to pay attention to for a buyer. Now, if you're a seller, again, that's gonna take some bigger considerations and thoughts on what you want to do if you want to wait and not maybe sell at the price you were hoping to. There was a report from Black Knight that reported that home affordability hit a 35-year new low. Doesn't mean it's low on affordability, but it is less affordable now than it has been since, taking 35% of the median income to pay for the principal and interest. Now, if you look at when was the best time, the most affordable, and it was almost 2 years ago today. And that's when rates were still crazy low and the home prices had not quite shot up like they have since then. And speaking of home prices, we're gonna go to my favorite report, over to the Cromford report, and we'll head over there. So looking here, again, the average has fallen. It has continued to fall, and we are right around 527 and the median at 435. Now, if you remember from reports from months ago, that average was around 600 and that median, was creeping up there to around 475. Again, I've mentioned this in other videos. I like seeing the pullback. I think it's good, it's healthy. Having a balanced market is a good thing, but my goal here is to put the information, in front of you so you can make the best decision that works for you, your family, your goals, and that way you don't rush into something or maybe you don't buy. Again, it's always a good market for someone. I'm not gonna be an agent who says, oh yeah, it's a great time to buy when it isn't a great time to buy for you. Again, depends on, your goals and why you're buying that home, and honestly, what you can afford. If it makes sense to rent, and I know people are gonna kill me for this, then maybe you should rent for a year while you save money. Depends on what your rent is, because rent prices, they're not cheap either. Now, in the last video, I talked about buyers canceling contracts. Now, here in Arizona, typically you have a 10-day window to do your due diligence. Now, that can be negotiated, but that's standard for the most part, 10 days. Now, you can cancel for, I won't say almost anything, but you can cancel for a lot of things. We'll just call it almost anything for this video. I just heard a report that came out, home buyers that bought the home during, COVID time, 25% were unhappy with the process and 80% compromised the home that they bought because that's what they had to do, or at least they felt they had to do to buy that home. But now you have those buyers, they don't have to compromise. You saw the report I put out earlier in the stat, how many more homes we have for sale here in Phoenix Metro. And yeah, if you see a home that maybe you're under contract on home A, and it's okay, but there's some things that came up and you see the home down the street come up for sale, and oh my gosh, it's got everything you want, and it's cheaper now because the market has gone down, then we'll see buyers cancel that home for whatever reason and go under contract on the next one. Again, it's a case-by-case basis, but ask yourself this question when it comes to buying a home. Is it a home you're going to live in for 7 years? That's generally my rule of thumb. Don't try and day trade real estate because you have to feel like you have to buy a home. For some people, it might not make sense. Again, why are you moving? Why are you even thinking about buying a home? If you just want to buy a home and you are cool with trading in your lower interest rate for a higher one, most likely, then again, that's something you're going to have to uncover and talk about and look at those, those effects. But don't think that you just, everyone should buy a home right now, because for some people, it may not make sense. Home sellers might get a little bit desperate, especially as we head into winter, but who knows? If you have questions, please reach out. I'm happy to help. Rich Brecklin, Real Broker, right here in Arizona, and I'll see you on the next one.